Welcome to the Scrum Feed, where Paul Dalligan and I take apart the NRL. Paul, I'm putting a red line through the Storm. Second last with 2 wins. They're not coming back from this in 2026. What's gone wrong?
Well, you're a harsh man because, I'm not saying you're doing it, taking this into account, but obviously the sad news with Craig Bellamy, but I don't agree with you with the red pen. I think you could wave a pink pen around them. But I'm reluctant after watching the Storm for how many years now? We talked about it, 20 plus years. I still think they might sneak into that. Call me crazy. Many have called me worse than that. But I still think there is an outside chance that they could make a run similar to the Western Bulldogs many years ago, as you remember that, Professor, when they stormed home. They're simply too good to be playing the way they are. So I wouldn't write them off just yet in terms of no chance. I wouldn't have that pen out. If they lose this week at home to the Tigers, which we'll get to, then I'd get the pink pen ready, but it may be even reach for the red, but not yet. Not for me.
Well, it was a pink pen until Craig Bellamy was diagnosed with a neurodegenerative disorder, and I think that will affect how things go around the club. They've got an equal record, 6 losses in a row. I did see that Craig's got the full support of the board.
Yeah, so this is different circumstances. I think it's more to do with his very sad neurodegenerative disorder, and I don't want to speculate on what that is. It's not our place, but the word degenerative is never great. We're talking motor neuron or Alzheimer's. We don't even want to consider what it could be any more than that. He's still first in the joint, apparently. He's still last one out. So I'll say this, and not being in any way medically qualified to do so, I think that he lives and breathes footy. He loves his family, but he loves the game and he loves coaching. And often with anything mental health related, it can be great to still keep doing it. So it's not for me to make a call, but I don't think it's the worst thing is that he can focus on the Tigers game, which apparently he's already doing. So he's a pure professional, and supporters come from all corners of the game. Well, not surprisingly, on news of his condition, and we wish him all the best at Scrum Feed.
Jarome Luai, Paul, leaving the West Tigers at the end of 2027. He's signed with the PNG Chiefs for 2 seasons with an option for the third. He said money wasn't coming into it, but $1.2 million he's getting at the Tigers. Probably get the same with the Chiefs. Only thing is, with the Chiefs, there's no tax.
No, and also on the third-party deals, it might surprise you what I'm about to say, but might not. I'm not sure. But it reminds me, if we cross codes a little bit, to the Gary Ablett Jr. said when he went to Gold Coast for those mega bucks. He was at a similar point in his career as Luai. He'll be 31, I think it is, when he goes to Papua New Guinea. You've got to remember, the average age of players this year is 24. It's gone down from 26. He's obviously a great player, but he's still got a year and a half for the Tigers. And at 31, I think he's getting towards the sort of endish part of his career, unless he plans on playing much longer than that. So I don't think anyone can begrudge him. And it's not coincidental that Jarome Luai has re-signed for the Tigers. And I'm almost certain that there's some money freed up from Luai that they're able to put into players like Jarome Luai, like the Faunu brothers. All 3 of them play, unlike the Cloak brothers when only Travis apparently could play. Not for me to comment on, but with the Tigers, they've got a lot of players off contract, as do all clubs, and that money is going to be used to shore up their future of players who aren't 31 years old.
It's more so, Paul, I would think that the Chiefs have now got a name player that they've signed, something Perth hasn't been able to do.
No, and that's it. And there is a bit of fuss in the media about Perth's at a disadvantage, but Perth's no different to the other clubs. It's still within Australia. The irony is, not that long ago, people were saying people want to play Papua New Guinea, they're going to be stuck on a word you can't use. Apparently, it's compound, but you're going to be stuck in the hotel. I think if you're doubling your salary and you're getting third-party deals, you can live with it for a year or 2, much like the bubble. I don't want to compare it to the COVID bubbles, but I think playing in Perth is a little bit different to Papua New Guinea with the isolation and security that will be required. With all respect to the Papua New Guinea situation, Perth is definitely a scenario you'd prefer if it was similar money.
I've got a red line through the Storm, even though you haven't, Paul. Who else have we got a red line through? The Dragons?
Gone. Yeah, I tipped them to come last, and I'm not going anywhere near backing off that, even with the appointment of Dean Young. Pretty tough initiation for Dean Young, and they just don't have the squad there to compete. And you can put it through the Titans as well, who were very disappointing and dropping backwards fast. And you can also put it through the Parramatta Eels, which might surprise you, but they've dropped right off and they're just struggling. They've got a halfback who won't even be there next year. They're going to have to make the tough call on him, whether they bring up a junior, because they've got to get ready for the future. And the Jonah Pezet experiment from 1 year hasn't worked. We doubted that it would. I don't think we had them in the 8 from memory, Professor. I'd have to go back and have a look. But those 3 are the 3 that I'd have the red pen through.
The Dolphins must be very close, Paul.
No, they're on the way back, the Dolphins. And not out of ego because
the eternal optimist, Paul.
That's it. I am a Liberant. I did tip them to win the comp, so there might be some egg on face action I'm trying to prevent, but I still think they can scrape into the 8. They've got too good a team to not make the 8. And I hate to preface this week's matches, but I think they've got your Dogs covered this week, Professor.
I think they have too, Paul. Well, let's have a look at the last round that started with the women on centre stage, Paul. They're back. Edge of the seat stuff. New South Wales beating Queensland 11-6 in Newcastle last Thursday night. New South Wales centre Jessica Sergi scoring in the final minute. Couldn't be any better start for the women's part of the NRL this year.
No, it was a great match and 20,000 people there for a standalone fixture. Plenty watching on the TV as well. A great quality game and fantastic for the code, as you say, a thrilling finish as well. So, they stormed home the Blues, and I'm hoping that the male counterparts will do the same. But it was a great game in game 1.
Blues have a 10 head-to-head lead now.
They do, and they're very short odds for the second game, which is on next week on Thursday, the 14th. So that is at Suncorp, but the Blues are playing very well. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Maroons can spring a big upset at home.
My Bulldogs, Paul, went down to the Cowboys 12-28. They really have trouble scoring, the Bulldogs. The worst team for scoring is the Dragons, who are last. They've scored 114 points for the season so far. Then the Dogs 145. Then it's daylight to the next one. Most of the good teams have scored 200 plus.
Yeah, you've got to feel as well. They added Adam O'Brien, the Knights coach. They added him as the attack coach. So I don't think he'll be sharpening up his CV with that at the moment because they're looking terrible. They are going to click. I don't think it's too far away, but I think this week they're going to struggle. But they just couldn't get it done against the Cowboys with everything in their favour last Friday.
Dolphins too strong at home for the Storm. Once again, the Storm in front at half time. They're the Carlton of the NRL.
Well, they are, and that's why I was saying the Dolphins, and both these teams I still think can figure in it. And the Dolphins in particular have too good a team to be struggling, and they're getting some players back as well. Jeremy Marshall-King, one of their best players, coming back this week. So I can see them going on a bit of a run from here.
Some figures that Craig Bellamy wouldn't like, Paul. They only had 42% of the possession and were outgained by 700 metres.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to win with those stats. So I don't think the Storm were that bad, actually. It's just the Dolphins are a very good team, and that's, again, the reason I tipped them to win the comp. I'm looking like a bit of a fool, but this is about the time I looked like an idiot for picking Brisbane, wasn't it, last year? So I think this Dolphins team, attack-wise at least, is as good as the Broncos last year. It's just whether the defence and the forward pack can hold up.
Titans 12, Raiders 28. The Raiders back in town. Another wasted season and a red line through the Titans, Paul.
Yeah, I don't mind saying we didn't do the show, but I did tip the Titans. Disappointing from them. And Josh Hannay has dropped his halfback Lachlan Ilias, who's been around Fire South and the Dragons, to start a prodigy, which we'll get to shortly. But the Raiders are very impressive, and they're great to watch, that Raiders team.
Titans aren't going to do very much with a 68% completion rate.
No, they're not. No. So that's why Josh Hannay is fed up, as you would be as a coach. You can only do so much. It's up to your players to get the basic skills right.
Eels 14, the Warriors 36. The Warriors are putting together a very nice season. Eels 38 missed tackles. You're not going to win too many games if you miss that many tackles.
The cruel irony is Jason Riles is from the Storm defence first mantra, so very disappointing for the Eels, and they would be the most disappointing team of the year. We didn't expect much from the Dragons or the Titans this year, but the Eels were figured to make the 8. They won't be doing that.
And another try to our man, Joaquin Zalesniak. He's now up to 10.
The Flying Paramount, yeah, he's doing very well. And they're great to watch, the Warriors, and they're eclipsing the All Black in support in New Zealand. They're getting massive support. So it's It's great to see for the game and great to see for New Zealand.
The Roosters 38, the Broncos 24, almost over at half-time, Paul. The Roosters 24 zip in front.
That was, but then the Broncos, as we've seen them do, including in grand finals, absolutely stormed home. So they are an amazing team to watch, the Broncos. They're missing some players, but I think the Roosters are going to go very close to this grand final this year.
Going to use one of your quotes, Paul. I had a look at the stats. The Roosters put up more bombs than Dresden.
And thankfully, that's not in the news at the moment, that city, unlike some others. But they were very impressive, and they certainly have a very smart coach in Trent Robinson. So they're good to watch. I mean, they're losing a couple of players this week, but they're still surging on all cylinders. Too good for the injury-ravaged Broncos.
One of the games of the round, Paul, where no defence was played at all for the entire period of the match. Knights 42, Rabbitohs 38. It was a very entertaining game. Too much to do after half-time for the Rabbitohs, though.
Yeah, I watched the end of this game and loved it, apart from the score, obviously. But when you say no defence and you look at that score, I mean, one of the tries to Greg Marju, it reminded me of Jonah Lomu in his prime. And then Latrell Mitchell was like something out of Terminator. He knocked over Kalen Ponga like he wasn't there. So it wasn't like the defenders weren't trying. We've just got some superhuman efforts. And Latrell Mitchell almost single-handedly won this game for himself on his own backs. He is looking like the best player in the comp at the moment, and he'll be straight into that New South Wales Origin team. He is a beast. I mean, it was. I don't think Wayne Bennett will be that disappointed in that, given that comeback and the way they played. The Knights as well. Welcome back Kalen Ponga, Dylan Brown. So at home, the Knights are a very good team. I don't think Wayne Bennett, apart from the obvious the tries let in, will be that disappointed.
It took 5 Knights players to put Latrell Mitchell over the touchline just before the end of the game, Paul. So there was some defence played, you're right.
And one of them gave him a bit of a gobful, which Tallis Duncan, who doesn't normally get involved in the stoushes, took offence to it quite rightly. It wasn't needed, but that bit of niggle, but that's all part of the game, some would say. It's good to see Latrell Mitchell in the media again. He speaks very well, and he'd had a self-imposed media ban, which is, I think, not that he needed it. We'd love to hear more from him, but he just wanted to stay on that side of it and concentrate on his game. And he was amazing to watch the end of that game. He was just absolutely brilliant.
Sharks 52, West Tigers 10. We had a game at halftime, 18-10, but 6 tries to 0 after halftime. Sharks got under my guard, Paul. I thought the West Tigers would win this one.
No, I had the Sharks winning it, and I just thought the Luai distractions would unsettle the Tigers. What distracted the Tigers more, though, was Api Coruscant, who's their heart and soul. As much as Luai's talented, Api Coruscant steers that team around the park, literally. And they also lost Adam Dewey, the halfback. So from there, at home with these new rules, it was always going to be floodgates, and you saw that happen. And the Tigers are in a hole, and hate to say it, but they're going to plummet from here.
Saw a stat that no teams won the premiership after conceding 50 points in a game during the season, so it looks like the West Tigers are scratched from winning the premiership this year.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be because of that. I think the disruption with these players out for now quite a few weeks and also the Luai disruption, that's going to be more telling than any 50 stat, but I do agree with you. I can't see the Tigers winning the comp day this year.
Match of the round, Panthers 18, Sea Eagles 16. It took something from the Panthers to stop the Sea Eagles 4-0.
Yes, and as predicted a while back, we saw Joey Walsh debut for Manly. He played incredibly well. He made some errors, which is expected, but he's only a kid. He hasn't had many games under his belt, and he almost pulled off a miracle. But the Panthers just too much class in the end. Looking forward to seeing what happens. He's back on the bench, Joey Walsh, this week, though. So they're taking a sensible approach with him, but they almost pulled off a very fine win in baseball. I don't know if we've used that phrase yet, but it's converting a lot of people, baseball.
All right, Paul, let's preview round 10. Starts Thursday night with the Dolphins at Suncorp hosting my Bulldogs. 7th versus 12th for the two teams that were going to play off for the grand final this year, according to you.
You're right. I just recalled that, but I was hovering over picking this earlier on just before, but I'm going to go with the Dolphins at home. They've got Jeremy Marshall-King back, who's the gun hooker. They've Cody Nikorima back, and one of the X-factor players of the game, Trey Fuller's back, and he can't even fit in the interchange bench at this stage. They'll have to play him, surely. I just think that the Dogs are going to click, but I just can't see it happening this week. It's going to happen, but I just can't see that they'll have enough points in them. Were you saying the Dolphins got the best attack in the game? You have to
One
be
of them.
close. Yeah, so I just think they're going to have a little bit too many points in them, the Dolphins. So I'm going with the Dolphins. They beat the Storm last week. I think they'll win at Suncorp this week. It'll be a great game, though, to watch Thursday night.
Jake Turpin out with a ruptured bicep and Kurt Mann out with concussion for the Bulldogs, so they'll be down a couple of players. But they've brought in Gordon Chan Kum Tong.
Yes, he's on the reserves, so we'll see if he plays, but a couple of blokes I've never heard of on that bench as well. I just think that the Dolphins are getting it together. And as I said, I'll say it here, I think they're going to go on a run for the next few weeks, and we'll see what happens. But I just got the Dolphins tipping out the Dogs.
First game on Friday night, the Roosters playing the Titans up in Gosford, Paul. Be worth going a long way to see the Roosters. I don't know about the Titans, though.
Well, it would be if you want to watch the potential gun of the future. Zane Harrison is playing at number 7, and that's a baptism of fire that he's going to face against the Roosters, a kid coming out against them, much like Joey Walsh. And it'd be like getting on stage with Pavarotti, Professor, and having a go at Nessun Dorma. You'd have to be a little bit nervous and overawed, I think. But more than that, it's going to turn into possibly UFC, all legal, of course, but there'd be some Roosters players licking their lips at getting a crack at this Zane Harrison, who's 20. He was the schoolboys champion last year, 2024, and New South Wales under 19. I wish him luck. That's all I'll say. But the Roosters will win this one. And the second game could also be a blowout. The Cowboys against the very disappointing Eels. Cowboys have turned their season right around, and who would have thought that we always had the red pen through them a few weeks ago?
Exactly. I think the Cowboys at home too strong, Paul. All right, the first game for decision on Saturday. The bottom-placed Dragons playing the Knights. Looks like another win for the Knights.
Yeah, I see the bookies are keeping the Dragons safe. They're going to turn around one stage, but when you've got those players back for the Knights, Honga, Dylan Brown, Fletcher Sharp, and Bradman Best in the centres. It's Dylan Lucas is playing well in the second row. I just can't see the Dragons. They will get a win sooner or later, but I just can't see them doing it. Atkinson and Cade Reed against Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Brown. The Knights will be too strong.
And Clint Gutherson back for the Dragons. I don't think that's going to be enough for Dean Young's boys.
No, he's no longer the king, unfortunately. He's on his last legs. I can't see them winning. I've got the Dragons winning. The Knights winning that. And it's good for the city of Newcastle the way they're playing.
5:30 game on Saturday, Paul. Your Rabbitohs playing the Sharks. That, as friend Mark Fioretti would say, a mouth-watering tie.
Very close game, very tough one to pick. Jack Whiten's out, but the way that Latrell's playing is just too persuasive. I think Jai Gray back, literally at the back. Ashton Ward as well can't make it in. He's a gun half. So we've got, he's back in at 7. So Cody Walker at 6 and Ward at 7 is going to be, they're going to be too good, I think. It could go either way, though. Bronson Garlick and Hooker. So there's a couple of players out for the Rabbitohs, but I think that they just will have enough, but I wouldn't be rushing to invest on them.
The nightcap game on Saturday night, Paul. The Sea Eagles at Brookvale playing the Broncos. A lot of players out for the Broncos, including this week, Adam Reynolds with a head knock. Katoni Staggs out suspended. Add that to Payne Haas and a few others. I think the Sea Eagles might get across the line in this one.
Yeah, I think they will as well. Michael Maguire, we know he loves an F-bomb. There would have been a few when Katoni Staggs had that brain explosion. It's quite sad, actually. I mean, he's been such a great player. He plays with aggression, but unfortunately he let it out all a bit too much and whacked someone in the head. So he's got a bit of a suspension there. Reynolds is a big loss. Dane Mariner as well has been playing well. So Ben Hunt comes in, though. That's a big in. But I just think that the Manly will just be a touch too strong. Fogarty's back at 7. He wasn't setting the world alight, but Joey Walsh on the bench. So I think that he knows what he's doing, the coach. So the fact you can have the kid who played very well back to the bench, it just shows that I think there's a bit more in Manly than Brisbane at the moment. It'll be a close one, though. The Broncos never write them out with Reece Walsh at the back.
Sunday's first game, the Storm playing the Wests Tigers at Amy Stadium. Big out for the Wests, Adam Dewey with a shoulder injury. Is that enough to get the Storm across the line?
It is, and I think it'll be very emotional for Craig Bellamy. And if you want to ring your bell in his honour, I'd get the Big D guarantee out on the Storm. I think that they're absolute specials to turn it around. There's a lot happening at the Tigers, whilst re-signing Jarome Luai was fantastic. He's not playing. I just think there'll be too much in the Storm at home, and they'll be very emotional. First home game since Craig Bellamy's announcement. He won't want any fuss, but I think his players will salute, and I think they'll do it well for Bellamy and the Storm. I think they'll win with the guarantee on their shoulders.
Final game for the round, the Raiders playing in cold Canberra on a Sunday afternoon in May, taking on the Panthers, who are on top of the ladder. There's a Clydesdale in for the Raiders. Paul, Jake, I don't know that that's speeding up the pack.
I nicely done. I haven't heard of the Clydesdale, but I did have to explain to the mother-in-law once why they called John Longmire a horse, but apparently it's to do with his facial features. But I've got the Panthers winning this one. As exciting as the Raiders are, with Milky Jenkins there, Casey McLean. On that note, Professor, there's been calls for an under 21, I think it is, State of Origin, which would be interesting because there'd be two players playing in that. Sorry, there'd be one of them, Casey McLean, would be straight into that. I'm behind the concept, but we'll see what happens with that. I just think the Panthers will be too strong, but it'll be pretty cold down there on Sunday afternoon. That's their biggest hope, the Raiders, is the Panthers will freeze, but it gets pretty cold at Penrith way as well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I think the Panthers will cross the line in that one, Paul. Well, that's all for the Scrum Feed for this week. We'll do it all again next week.
Good stuff.
Responsible gambling is paramount. For support, contact the Gambling Help online at 1800 858 858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.